Week 8 of the fantasy football season. Here's the top 12 defense DSTs I'm ranking this week. Number 1, the Indianapolis Colts. So this Colt defense, they've been better at home than they've been on the road this season. This week, a great matchup. Tennessee coming in, one of the worst offenses in the league. They really can't score touchdowns or get anything going. So I think Indianapolis, they'll get off to an early lead, make this Tennessee offense one-dimensional. And Cam Ward's definitely had a tough rookie season. So this week, I think Indianapolis, they go out there and put in a good performance. They could get to the quarterback, and they do create havoc and turnovers. Number 2, the New England Patriots. So the Patriots as well, home this week. Great matchup versus the Browns, where pretty much no one on that offense is a threat, besides obviously Quinshon Judkins. So if they sell out on the run in this game and they make Dylan Gabriel try to beat him, I don't see it happening in this one, where Gabriel, he's been more of a conservative quarterback, a lot of short routes, a lot of out routes he's throwing to his tight ends and wide receivers. But this New England Patriot team, obviously well coached by Mike Vrabel, who's a defensive mind. I think they go out there and have a good game. Number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll see if Jaden Daniels or Marcus Mariota is a quarterback. But this Chief defense, they're playing on another level at home. Last week, I know it was the Raiders, but a shutout is a shutout in the NFL, a tough thing to do. And they're playing with a lot of confidence, where this offense is back to peak where it was a few seasons ago, putting up 30, 35 points 3-4 years ago. So right now, with all those factors, and especially Jaden Daniels, if he's out, Kansas City could be in for a big game. Number 4, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I thought the Bucs did a good job. I know in Week 7, Detroit got off to a quick start in that game, but they settled down and they played good defense. They got to Goff a couple times. He turned the football over a couple times as well. And this week, it's a good matchup with division rival, the New Orleans Saints, with Spencer Rattler in there, quarterback. And to be honest, he's just not good. I know he goes out there and tries his Rattler as a young quarterback, but a lot of holding on to the football too long, taking sacks and turning it over. So I think Tampa Bay, while they've been a hit-or-miss defense all season long, I think they're a DST this week that you could go out there and have confidence in your lineup. Number 5, the Atlanta Falcons. So the Falcons, they've been a good defense at home. We saw it in Week 6, hold down that Buffalo Bill offense to a mediocre performance. And even last week, I thought they did an okay job a majority of that game until McCaffrey really went off in the fourth quarter at San Francisco. So this week with a great matchup versus Miami, where the only real threat week in and week out for this Dolphin team is obviously Devon Achane. They could slow him down a little. I think Atlanta, if they're up to an early start, they can make Tua one-dimensional, and we know Tua on the road, he just doesn't do much in terms of fantasy football and turns the football over. And even last week, we saw he got benched in that road game at Cleveland. Number 6, the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles last week, they set the tone early, was the defense. They had a pick 6, an old friend coming out of retirement, Brandon Graham, and he played last season, obviously, with Philadelphia, won the championship with them, and we'll see what he has left in the tank. But this New York Giant offensive line, still not a great line. The obviously playmakers in the offense are limited. Wandale Robinson, Theo Johnson, the top 2 options in the passing game. But you got the talented running back in Cam Scatterbo in the backfield. And Jackson Dart is a playmaker and makes things happen. I know this Eagle defense gave up over 30 points a couple weeks ago on Thursday night, but I think this team's refocused. They were embarrassed on that Thursday night game, and this Eagle defense is better at home than it is on the road. So this week versus the Giants, I think they go out there and have a good performance. Number 7, the Buffalo Bills. So the Bills coming off a bye. That had some favorable matchups early in the season, but couldn't get the job done. But this week in a matchup with Carolina, with the veteran Andy Dalton in their quarterback, where Bryce Young's out with an ankle injury, hurting it, the New York Jets last week. I think this Buffalo Bill defense, they could get to Dalton a couple times. We know Dalton's a gunslinger. He's been a turnover-type quarterback throughout his NFL career. And this week, I think Buffalo could take advantage of that. And like I said, coming off the bye, maybe they made a few adjustments and they'll get better on defense, where they haven't been great all season long. Number 8, the Green Bay Packers. So this Packer defense, they started off on fire the first month of the season. And then ever since that Dallas Cowboy game, where they ended up in a tie 40-40, this defense hasn't been the same. I know Micah Parsons, though, he's getting ramped up, getting back into shape, and obviously playing more snaps. He had 3 sacks in last week's ball game at the Cardinals, but still, a Cardinal offense that was banged up, they still gave up 23 points to that Cardinal offense. And this week in Pittsburgh, you know, Aaron Rodgers, he's going to want to stick it to the team he's with the longest in his NFL career. And obviously, I think Green Bay in this one, they got to go out there and set the tone defensively, because when Rodgers gets going, we saw even at 41 years old, he still could throw the football down the field and make plays. Number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals. So their 1 week use streaming option is Cincinnati. This week, a great matchup versus the New York Jets, who haven't scored a touchdown in 2 games. They finally made the change, going from Justin Fields to Tyrod Taylor. But Tyrod Taylor, he was in that ball game in the second half last week, and he didn't do much. So Cincinnati, as bad as they've been, I think if their offense obviously puts up numbers like it did last week, and they make this Jet team one-dimensional throwing the football, their defense could go out there and make plays. Number 10, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Steelers defense, last week they couldn't figure out Joe Flacco. Jamar Chase had an all-time ball game. He had 23 targets in that game, caught 16 passes in that game as well as Jamar Chase. And this week here, Green Bay's coming in. They're good offense, obviously led by Jordan Love. Got Josh Jacobs, one of the better backs in the backfield. Tucker Kraft, the tight end, a very talented tight end as well. And also, I think Romeo Doubs has been decent. And Matthew Golden, he could be in for a potential breakout in the next couple weeks. So with all those factors, that's why the Pittsburgh's low on the list. But they could turn things around. When you got stud guys, obviously, on this defense, like TJ Watt, Hayward, Darius Slay, and Jalen Ramsey, if these guys start locking in, this defense could get back to what it was early in the season. Number 11, the Denver Broncos. So the Broncos, we know, is one of the best, if not the best defense in the league, obviously. But last week, a New York Giant offense with committed playmakers in that offense went out there and put up 32 points versus Bronco defense. Now the Dallas Cowboys are coming to town. Very high-powered offense. But I think Dak Prescott, he's good for a turnover or two in this game, where he's been a way better home quarterback than he's been on the road throughout his NFL career. And also as well, this Cowboy offensive line still a little bit banged up, where they could get the Prescott sacking him. So they're going to give up some points, I think, is Denver. But turnovers and sacks, I think, could help them out in this ballgame to still be a top 12 option. And the 12th and final DST I'm ranking is the Cleveland Browns. So the Browns last week, what a ball game it was for them. They made Tua look like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, shutting that Miami offense down to only 6 points in that ball game, and a lot of pressure early and often. And when you got guys like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward anchoring a defense, it makes everything easier. But this week, a tougher test at New England. Drake May, he's been playing great football, one of the better quarterbacks so far this season has been Drake May. And like I said, Cleveland, though, when you got 2 stud guys like Garrett and Denzel Ward in the secondary, they're going to create problems. But this week in New England, I still think they'll have a decent ball game as Cleveland, but just not like last week's game. So that's the top 12 defense DST units I'm ranking for week 8 of the fantasy football season.